So I was scrolling through TikTok the other day and I saw some guy talking about how you don't need to train your front delts because all of your chest exercises and everything are gonna make them grow on their own. That's kind of true, but I personally just don't agree with it. If you wanna get boulder shoulders that are nice and well-rounded, you gotta train your delts. So today I wanna walk you through a few of my favorite front delt exercises that you can do at home. First exercise. This is like the crucial front delt exercise that is going to build mass. It is an overhead press. And I prefer to do them seated because you can really isolate the delts. And depending on what you have for equipment, you can do these a variety of ways. You can use dumbbells, you can use free weights. I'm going to show you a banded version that I like to do. And it's using the Nexus bar from Clench Fitness, which allows you to combine bands and free weights together. And I really like this because this overhead press puts a lot of stress kind of on your shoulders, especially as you get lower. And what's nice about the band is that the resistance is progressive. So at the lowest position, you're gonna have the least amount of resistance, and at the top, you're gonna have the most amount of resistance. And that works great with a shoulder press because it takes a lot of the stress off at the bottom and during this changeover where all the stress is in your joints. And then at the top, when you're really flexing those delts and squeezing it, you get a lot of resistance. And when you're doing this exercise, you can really control it. Go nice and slow. Squeeze it at the top. Let it down nice and slow. And then you can also stack free weights on the side of this to give you even more resistance in the bottom so that you can have resistance, or you can have that extra resistance in the stretch position, because that does matter, but you don't want to have too much mass, too much resistance at the stretch position, because that's going to put more stress on your joints. So that is why we developed the Nexus bar, so that you can fully customize that strength curve, and it works great for overhead presses. A quick tip on the overhead press. A lot of people like to set the bench up like straight vertical. I used to do it this way as well, but kind of over time, I feel like, especially when you get heavy, the external rotation that you're gonna have to do to stay vertical, you're gonna start like pulling your back off of the bench, and then when you're loading it up, it's just not going to be as comfortable. So what I like to do is to go down like one notch from vertical, just to give yourself a slight lean back, maybe 5-10 degrees from vertical, and that'll allow you to get more upper chest and more convergence in front of you, especially if you're doing like a single band or a pair of dumbbells. It'll really get you better engagement, feels more comfortable, and it doesn't hurt the joints as much. Another exercise that's great for front delts is upright rows. Now, I know a lot of people get butthurt about them because they're hard on your joints, you get some impingement issues. Here is a way to help mitigate that. Once again, Nexus bar from Clench Fitness. Obviously, you probably feel like it's an infomercial at this point, but honestly, this really does work, and that's why we developed this product. So once again, we can do a combined free weights and resistance bands here to help lessen some of that joint impact and still get you the benefits of the training, as well as you don't have to put a whole lot of free weights on here. I got a pair of 10s and a purple band. And this is plenty of resistance for an upright row. Feels good on my joints, and I can just cruise through this exercise. Big squeeze at the top, let it down slow. And you can also manipulate your grip. So like if you wanna, like obviously the closer you grip, the more the front of the shoulder is gonna target. The wider you grip, it's going to target kind of a little bit wider out around the outside of the shoulder. So that'll really help you get more shoulder definition and more well-rounded shoulders. All right, another exercise great for front delts is a good old-fashioned front raise. We're gonna use the same setup as before, but now we're gonna go lighter, obviously, because a front raise is a lot more challenging exercise. So I bumped down to a red band, so that'll give us kind of around that 15 to 30 pounds of band tension, and then we got a pair of 5s and the bar, which is probably around 25 pounds of free weight. And this feels really good. So I can lock it in, pull that core in tight, raise this out. It's really hard at the top. Fight that negative On the way down, that band tension really gives you a good eccentric as well. Big squeeze, let it down nice and slow. And of course, you can fine tune the band and the free weights to really get a great exercise for your own personal preference. You have unlimited control. Ooh. And this just lights up the front delts. All right, here's another interesting twist on the front raise. If you have an incline bench available, we're gonna get some more stretch on that front delt. So set your incline bench maybe at about like a 45 degree, or you can even go a little bit lower to get even more stretch, especially with the dumbbells. So I'm gonna show you dumbbells and bands here. So we'll start with it in kind of a lower position. Grab yourself a set of dumbbells, and now you're gonna lock into this bench, and notice, so gravity is pulling straight down. So when I lean back, that gravity is now pulling my front delt into this stretched position. So we have more stretch, we have some tension pulling it back. And now when I do this raise, oof, get up here. But then once I get basically to a horizontal position with this dumbbell, the weight starts to drop off. So I don't really have a lot of engagement all the way up here. Good stretch at the bottom. Raise it up to about horizontal, squeeze it, let it down slow. So this works good with dumbbells if you have it at home. Another thing you can use is bands, and this is gonna completely change the tension. So I'm gonna bump this bench up a little bit because my anchor point is now behind me. And now, with a pair of 41-inch bands, I'm using clenched band handles to make it comfortable. Stretch these babies around, and notice how I'm making sure that I have to stretch this band so there's tension at the bottom. When I lean back, now look at that stretch. We're stretching the crap out of this front delt here with light resistance, but it's a lot more stretch than with a dumbbell. And now, as I exhale, stretch through, that resistance is increasing all the way up to that horizontal position. So now I'm really fighting resistance, and also on the eccentric, I'm having to fight against the band tension, which is, it feels to me like it's even worse than gravity because it's actually pulling directly in line with that joint. I just feel a lot more engagement with this, and there's a lot more stability involved. Like you can see my hands are kind of shaking a little bit, especially as I'm kind of coming through here to really stabilize it. And this is just a great exercise. And now notice, like there's tension on these. When I let them go, they're gonna go back behind me. So that is the key. You want tension on the bands all the way through the range of motion. So I hope you enjoyed this today. Please stay off of TikTok and listen to me. So I hope you enjoyed this today. Obviously the exercises are super simple. Overhead presses are going to be your staple. If you want to build size, want to build strength in those delts, get those overhead presses in. Also, the front raise, upright row are classic staple exercises. There's not a ton of ways to focus on the front delts, so I kind of covered all the bases here, whether you're using bands, free weights, dumbbells, you name it, train those front delts. And if you liked what you saw today, be sure to smash that like button. Also, if you want to see more content like this, check out the on-screen video links. We got tons of content on this channel just for you. And furthermore, if you need any of the bands or accessories shown today, head over to clenchfitness.com. We will hook you up. And thank you so much for watching.